Tony are coming right back with their biggest takeaway from the four nations' booming popularity.
It's going to be a good one. We've got a rivalry matchup coming your way in the finals. It's going to be round two of the USA and Canada. The Americans, though, going to be without a key piece for this championship matchup. It's a developing story right here on SportsCenter as defenseman Charlie McAvoy has been ruled out for the finals as he undergoes testing related to an upper body injury he suffered in the four nations face-off. Quinn Hughes is expected to join the team, though he is returning from an injury of his own, would only be eligible to play if there was another defensive injury. Here's Mike Sullivan.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, Charlie, he's a terrific hockey player, and he's a big part of this team. He's played extremely well through this tournament. When you lose players of that caliber, they're not easy to replace. You know, I know from a personal standpoint what this tournament meant to him and how much he was looking forward to playing in this.
It's a massive loss finding out that he won't be with us on Thursday. Just a character guy, and you know, he played a great game for us on Saturday against Canada. He was a huge reason we won that game. So it's gonna, you know, take everybody to step up a little bit for sure.
All right, so for more on this, NHL analyst Ray Ferraro joins us now. And Ray, how does the loss of Charlie McAvoy affect the Team USA's chances as they get ready for this matchup with Canada?
Well, you heard Noah Hanifin right there. It's a huge loss for the United States. I thought the game McAvoy played on Saturday was about as good a game as I've seen him play. He was physical. He moved the puck. He was quick on the breakouts out of the zone. And so you take away a huge piece of the U.S. defense, and you've got to replace those 22-plus minutes that he plays. Hanifin will get some of those minutes. Adam Fox is going to have to take a few more minutes as well. And you get into a top four of Jacob Slavin and Brock Faber, who were awesome on Saturday. Werenski, and however they manipulate the partner that he's going to have. But McAvoy out of the lineup is a huge loss. Now, the U.S. can do this. They played an almost perfect game, I thought, on Saturday, but man, this makes it a lot more challenging.
It certainly does. They have to figure out how to fill that hole. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Canadian defenseman Cale Makar missed the first matchup between these two teams with an illness, but now his addition, what could that mean for Canada in this game?
Cale Makar is everything to the Canadians on the blue line. And one of the things that I thought happened on Saturday was the U.S. has this ferocious forecheck, right? The Kachucks get in there. They start banging bodies around. The Canadian defense wasn't able to escape. So without Cale Makar in the lineup, you lose this speed, this escapability. One of the two best defensemen in the world, right? Quinn Hughes is the other, Makar from Canada. And so when Makar goes into the lineup, he's able to get the puck out of the zone before the U.S. can forecheck. He's going to play 26, 27 minutes. He did it the other night. He's just such a critical piece, an irreplaceable piece. Now, Quinn Hughes practiced today in Vancouver. He was wearing a non-contact jersey as he is coming back from an injury that took him out of this tournament. Mike Sullivan has said he's going to come to Boston tomorrow. I think the only way he can get in the lineup is if there's a defensive injury, which there isn't going to be, or if two of the three of the Tkachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew, or Austin Matthews don't play. The U.S. wouldn't have to play shorthanded, surely, and so that might be a way that Hughes could get into the lineup. But Makar is, man, he's everything for Canada.
All things that we are going to keep an eye on as we get ready for this Thursday championship, which will be held in Boston. I know you're getting ready to head that way. What are you expecting to see in this atmosphere? Because there's so much hype around this game.
Oh, I hope it's the same as it was in Montreal. I was standing between the benches. You could literally feel your feet moving. The building was just rocking before the game even started. Then there were the 3 fights in 9 seconds. I don't know that we'd get that again, but I would suspect TD Garden will be the same. I mean, it's an amazing place to watch hockey. It has incredibly passionate fans. There will be Canadian fans there. The U.S. fans will be supporting the U.S. as well. And when this event was in conception, I think everybody felt the way that this could be a success is if Canada and the United States play in the final game. And the roads were different to get here. But here we are. Thursday is going to be an immense night for hockey. And it's really cool to see this sport grab the momentum of the media and the headlines over the last 10 days. It's been awesome.
You mentioned what it's like to have your feet standing in there and what people feel. If you're lucky enough to do it, an expensive ticket, the cheapest price right now on Vivid Seats, $805. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Ray.
Yeah, it's so cool, Kelsey, how this event has just captured everybody's imagination. Ray, by the way, is going to be on the call with Sean McDonough. 8 o'clock on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus. Sportscenter is going to be live in Boston ahead of the point to get you ready. And for now, Mike and Tony with more on our PTI bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon. What does the popularity of the Four Nations face-off tell you?
First of all, Tony, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm impressed. You have to be. 10 million people across the United States and Canada watched on Saturday night. That's a great number, period. I don't care.
Yeah.
And so people are interested in this kind of face-off, pun intended, between these two. They got a little lucky. If this is Sweden versus Finland, you're not getting that. And you're not getting the buzz, and you're not getting any of this.
Well, the game they had already was baked into it. They have to play each other in a round robin.
They had already won, and they sort of, it rallied, and then you get the rematch, the sequel.
Yeah.
It's all breaking correctly.
Yes.
So that tells me something, too. But I think international play or perceived international play is the way to go, which is why I've been screaming for the NBA to have some guts and put a United States versus the world game on instead of the bogus all-star game. It is now trying to obscure with all these theatrics and a variety show, which doesn't work either. So the NHL has gotten it right.
The NHL found the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Maybe they intended for this to happen. Maybe they got lucky. Maybe it's a combination of both. But they found the sweet spot. 5.5 people in the United States, 5.5 million people in the United States watch this. That's essentially the equivalent of a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup final. And this is an invention. It's an exhibition game. It doesn't mean anything, and that many people watched it. So you are right in saying that what it tells us is the NBA ought to be paying attention to this. Because the NBA has a bad product on All-Star Weekend. I would go further than you would go. I would pay attention to hockey. I would have 4 teams, national teams, the United States, Canada, France, and a combination of Europe, Africa, and Australia. I would put that out there because it is a more global sport than hockey by a large distance. And I would try and incorporate
identifiable stars.
And I would do this.
Yeah.
I would do this. And once you do it and it works, you're never going back to what you had before.
Or you could do it for years and years.
Yeah.
And you see what's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
They're not doing it. Been challenging to do that for years. That's it. We're done. Back to you.
You never know, Wilbon. Never say never. Just a little over 2 hours ago, the window opened for teams to put the franchise tag on players, and among possible candidates, Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold coming off that career year, Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins, who was franchised last season, and Chiefs guard Trey Smith. Teams have until Tuesday, March 4th, to place the franchise tag on a player. NFL insider Dan Graziano joins us now. Dan, what's the latest you're hearing on whether the Vikings will put that franchise tag on Sam Darnold?
It's still a possibility, Hannah. The Vikings worked with a couple of their pending free agents to slide some contract void dates back, Byron Murphy and Aaron Jones, and that means those guys can't be franchised now because the contract voids after the deadline for franchising players. They did not do that with Sam Darnold, which means they still can franchise him and might. It'll be about $41 million to franchise him. The reason the Vikings might do it is either if they don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be ready to start the season coming off his injury, or if they feel like they just want to see if they could get something in terms of a trade for Sam Darnold so they don't let him walk out of the building after the monster year he just had at age 27 and get nothing in return. So this is likely to stretch on here for a couple of weeks as the Vikings continue to consider their options. But yes, they still could franchise Sam Darnold ahead of that deadline.
Yeah, and you mentioned that monster year, career highs in passing yards, touchdown, completion percentage, and you forget how young he is because it feels like he's been around the league forever. All right, let's go to the Bengals of it all. Expected to tag T. Higgins. What is the likelihood they do this for a second straight year?
Second straight year, meaning it would be 120% of last year's number, so more than $26 million if they wanted to tag T. Higgins. That would be higher than what we expect the wide receiver franchise number to be. They would do it because they think they have a chance to work out a long-term deal with him, which is fairly surprising considering they still have to do that with Jamar Chase, his fellow wide receiver, and very few teams are able to pay wide receivers at that financial level. So the Bengals, much like we were just discussing with Darnold, they could franchise T. Higgins just to sort of extend their window for getting a deal done, or maybe if they can't get a deal done, seeing if they could get something in return for Higgins in a tag and trade situation. So that's another thing as the Bengals work through all the issues they're having with their roster. Higgins franchise tag possibly, Jamar Chase extension, Trey Hendrickson wants a new deal, and they have to rebuild their whole defense. So lots of decisions still to come for the Bengals.
Just a few things on the horizon for Cincinnati. Dan, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Still to come on SportsCenter, how a big payday for Brock Purdy could alter the fortune of the 49ers. Plus, Cam Ward issues a warning to teams that could pass on him in the NFL Draft. And we go one-on-one with KD, how he's approaching the rest of the season with the Suns after a whirlwind of rumors at the trade